Here's the question. How do you make the impossible possible? Simple. Remove the I am, the ego. Now, how do you step into that newfound possibility? With a series of small intentional steps. Never forget, the greatest among us started from humble beginnings. But to truly unlock your potential, realize you're here for something greater. If you're yearning for more than just a good life, let's take that small step together to reach greatness. Welcome to the Greatness from Small Beginnings podcast, where we're talking to those who have gone from mediocrity to motivated, overlooked to overachieving, forgettable to unforgettable. Are you ready? Let's go. Well, hello, everybody. I am back. Okay. I am going to swing something. Hopefully I don't miss. I'm going to swing today. Hopefully I won't strike, right? Swing and a miss. We don't want that part. At an attempt to figure out the best way to explain a concept. So as I've told all of you on Greatness from Small Beginnings, which is the name of this podcast, some degree, the story of my life is that I'm headed for greatness. I'm headed for fantastic, amazing things. And this podcast is part of communicating that and reminding me that, oh yeah, I can't get stuck in the small all the time. I need to shoot for more, higher, and greatness. That being said, I have a concept I've been working through some conflicts in my life, things that have been uncomfortable. I realized a couple of things. And while I'm talking here, I'm gonna swing on to a app and see if I can figure out this guy's name so that I can share it with you all. But the concept is this: men carry a lot more than women know. And in particular, the further we go through life, the more we carry. Now, I suppose I'm not retired. I suppose that a guy that decides to retire and play golf and travel around the country in a motorhome, maybe he doesn't fit the same scenario that I'm talking about. But one day I will exit the position I'm in, and perhaps even the company that I founded. But I don't ever anticipate retirement, not in that way. Now, will I take up golf? Well, maybe, because it looks like a challenge, and I don't mind challenges. But I still look at men, and all the way from young, all the way from 20s and 30s, all the way up to where I'm at in my 60s. I see this all over the place. And I talk to some of my friends, and I talk to people in the therapy world, and I talk to people at church, and I hear what they're peripherally. I hear what they're living with, what they're bearing, the burdens they bear. And I think to myself, I wonder what's behind that. So here's the concept and what I'm trying to allege here. And I'm just gonna swing into it. I don't have a ton of psychology. No, I could have built some lists and I really thought about it. And I could have gone on to AI and got a little help to kind of put this into an organized fashion, but I wanted this to be super genuine. So I'm just going to talk for a few minutes, might not be very long, about what men carry. There's this guy on Instagram, and I believe he's got a YouTube channel and all of that. And it's Dwayne something. Can't honestly at this moment remember his name, but he does these videos that are just like, he's a country boy, big beard, wears this old hat, and sometimes he's smoking a cigar. And he does these videos that give insight is crazy good. And he was talking about how in one video recently that I saw that he wasn't real good at raising girls. You know, the boys, yeah, I could I could do that, but not the girls. And I realized I didn't do that well. I wasn't good at it, so I left it to my wife. Instead of taking responsibility for getting better, I let it be. And he said, and I regret that. I think the girls could have added to my life, and I could have added to theirs, but I just kind of just left it. And I appreciate that he said that. And I appreciated that he's honest about things like that. And I don't. And there's a concept. He brings these concepts and then gives some of the raw behind it. So one of the videos that he did that I saw probably a year ago is he said, men don't need therapy. They don't. A real man doesn't need therapy. What he needs is for those he bears burdens for, his wife, his family, his coworkers to some degree, but mainly it's those that he loves deeply and would give up his life for. So there might be friends in that group that he would consider in that group. What he needs is for them to acknowledge that he carries it. And he even says something that I really appreciated. They don't even need to understand what he carries. So I was in a meeting recently and was talking about goals and dreams and visions and my purpose and some of those things that are these big concepts that make my head hurt, and but I need to recycle back to them every now and again. And this one was a more intense than typical because I had someone's attention that's an expert at that kind of thing, and we had a one-to-one and we were talking, and it happened to be at my house. And I realized we were talking about what I want most out of life and the purposes, that kind of thing. He turned around and he looked at the stockings. It's Christmas time, stockings hanging in my house. And he said, "Wow, that's a lot. That's got to be part of your purpose. That's part of your dream." And he just assumed, like, we knew each other a little bit already prior to this. Take a drink here. My cute little cup, my espresso with some cream in it. Uh, and I realized as I thought about that later that I actually came to tears, and then I had a conversation with somebody about it yesterday, and I came to tears about it, and I realized that the burden I bear for my wife is by itself almost too much to bear. Of course, and almost too much means that it isn't too much, and I'm gonna bear it. I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna provide and protect and love intensely, and those are the three main things in my life that I do for her and my family. And and now I've added legacy to the other end of that. And what do I do with that? And so my wife is in a hard spot with some work that we have to do, and she's in areas that I can't be helpful in, and she's just got to spend these grueling hours at times, and I'm sad for her, and I bear this with her, and I'm not sure she knows that, and I'm not asking her to, but I do. And then when it comes to my kids, my 7 kids, all of them are married now, and 6 of them have children, and the other, likely will someday soon. You don't know. But I bear the burden for those children to pray for them and for them to be better than I was and better than I am in relationship to God, in the relationship to this absolutely nutso world we live in. And is there any wisdom that I can offer? And I bear the burden of gathering that wisdom so fast at such a pace that I can offer it to them because they're dealing with things that are unordinary to me. And then I look at these currently 18 grandkids, and I bear a burden for them because I want them to have opportunity. that comes from my legacy, both financial and from a wisdom standpoint. And I want them to see things about me. I want them to see this podcast someday and the rest of the other 100 that are out there. And I want them to enjoy Christmas and different things like I do, and the reason behind it. Why do I enjoy it? And I want to pass those things along that have to do with what do I value, what matters to me, and cull the things out of me that shouldn't matter to me if I'm going to pass them on and multiply them to my kids and grandkids. But I bear the burden. I remember looking in that moment at those stockings of all the grandkids that are up in my house, along with all my kids and their spouses. But I was looking at those grandkids. It should bring mostly joy. And I realized that it doesn't bring mostly joy. It brings mostly burden. And it's a burden I am so happy. The joy is to bear the burden for those grandkids, for the praying and inputting into the lives of my kids who are parenting those kids so that they'll have everything they need and then some, things that I didn't have. Perhaps it's wisdom, perhaps it's advice, perhaps it's just me, their father and grandfather, just being close, and their grandmother being that loving, nurturing, amazing person that she's always been, and her plan is to always be. But I thinking about this extreme burden that I bear, this heavy weight I carry, and I think to myself, yeah, I carry it, but I want to carry it. I want to carry it. And in the case of that video, do I want it acknowledged? I do. Not by my grandkids, that would be inappropriate, and not even maybe by my kids, but by my wife, by somebody that's important to me. And I do. I want that. That's not saying that I demand it from her. That's not to say she'll even understand it. I don't understand what all she goes through. I don't understand the level of joy and um, yeah, joy. What other word even to put on it? That the grandkids bring her. I don't understand that, nor do I expect her to understand the burden that it places on my shoulders to leave a legacy that ignites them as they grow up and into their marriages. Because I will see some of those in the next 5 to 10 years. I will see probably a lot of them. And then within 20 years, and I expect the Lord will let me live 20 years if the world stays like it is and the rapture doesn't happen, and the Lord doesn't come back and he's in disgust at this world the way it exists. But all things being equal to what they are today, my heart and lungs are good. I'm trying to keep them healthy, and 20 to 30 more years. In that case, 20, 25 more years, and I should see great grandkids, great great grands. I should see the next. I should have in my world. I should have 5 generations, and me be the oldest. If I live to 85 to 90, somewhere in there, and I'm 62, so if I live to 92, I should see 5 generations. Well, what am I going to give them? I'm not going to retire and learn nothing from here forward. I need to intensify the wisdom I'm learning and the knowledge I'm learning and the principles, the values. I need to intensify that, not pull it back, but it would be really good. And I don't think I'm going to get it maybe from anybody that I currently know or wish I could get it from, but to get an acknowledgement that says, yeah, yeah, you bear a burden that very few people are willing to bear and admit. But I will admit that most of my male friends that have kids, they bear a burden that is so tense. And I wish those wives that ever watch this, I don't even know how many women watch this, I wish they would just know. I wish they would know how much a man carries. He goes and he breaks his body down. I have two bad shoulders and two bad hips. Thank God my knees and ankles are good, but I have two bad shoulders, two bad hips, and three or four bad discs in my vertebrae. And I'm just at the tail end of recovery from a bulged disc that was creating issues. And now I need to get back to working out like I once did. And I was so willing and am willing to break my body for the sake of carrying this burden I will continue to carry. But men carry it. Men carry a burden that you can't understand. I was talking to somebody yesterday and they said, it's not what I've said about myself is talking about my own failures. And it's not even kind to say it most of the time. But this person said, so when I go to the gym and I lift weights and I go away from the gym and I think to myself, I could have finished that rep. I could have finished that set. I could have done a tiny bit more. And the next thought is, well, add that to my list of failures for the week or the day or the month. And I say that this is where men's minds go, that we're warriors and we are very aware of where we fall short. And that's often why we're defensive, because we're already aware. That being said, I want these small places that are in my mind, in your minds, to be places that we say, okay, so what would greatness look like in that case, in the case of that weightlifting? What would that look like? How far do I need to break my muscles down to consider today a success, the workout a success? How do I handle the burden? What do I do with the burden that I carry? The burden will not go away. In me, the burden for those grandkids will not go away. I love them. They walk in the house. They sit on my lap. They play. I get down on the floor with them and we do the thing. But along with that joy comes this thing that says, I, for them, have to do better. I have to be improving all the time. How do I go out of that small place of where I am now to that greater place that they need? I don't even know. It's uncharted territory, but it's a burden I bear to find out. And I will find out. Find out with me. That would be good. All right, I'm going to close out. Don't even know how long I've been on, but I'm going to close out with a phrase that I use a lot, and I'm glad I'm able to. Zig Ziglar. I wish I'd have met him. In heaven I will, because he's a good, godly man. He says, you were designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness. I believe that for you. I believe that for me. And it doesn't change in the fact that we can't unload our burden and then live in our greatness. They have to go together. And I'm not just willing, but I want to continue in this way. Merry Christmas, everybody. It's not much of a Christmas podcast, and yet here I am. It is Christmas time. I needed to unload this so the Christmas season will be even better, but I'm glad to be able to do it. You were designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness. Now go be great.